I once read a quote by Nikki Giovanni that said, "When they talk of my hard childhood, they won't realize that all the while I was quite happy."
Your identity shapes your experiences navigating life, dating, and healthcare. This is a series about Black men and their providers sharing their point of view. These are their stories.
As a child, I didn't know what foster care meant. I didn't know what gay meant. I didn't know what black and white meant. My childhood was pretty happy. In the different homes, in the different environments, I was a pretty happy kid. It wasn't until I got older and people started to point out to me, "You're different, this is why," that things got difficult for me. When I was 17 years old and I told my mother that I was gay, she had recently read that Time news article about the death of Matthew Shepard, and she said one thing to me. She said, "Nathan, promise me you'll keep yourself safe." And that sort of just always stuck with me. For me, that means keeping myself physically safe, keeping myself emotionally safe, and keeping myself mentally safe. And that's really why I do the work that I do. I want gay black men to recognize and foster their own safety and to rise up and above. I've always been interested in social work and mental health. Probably my earliest recollection of a social worker was when I was a child in foster care. And fast forward through high school and looking for a therapeutic outlet for some of the angst I was going through, and adjusting to being adopted, and being a black student in a white town, and so on and so forth. And I decided to become a social worker. I wanted to give back to the people that have helped me, and my mother was a great influence on education and social work. She's also a child advocate, so child welfare has always sort of been part of my life, and it brought me here today. Sometimes being both a member of the community you serve and being a clinician in the community, there's sometimes a dual relationship forms. I have a lot of clinical intervention skills that keep that relationship intact, but on the personal side, it can be hard to navigate. Quite frankly, a lot of the men that I work with in therapy, I see them in the community. I might see them at a restaurant or bar or at an event, and I always want to respect confidentiality and self-determination and those sort of things. But at the same time, it brings me a lot of joy to serve the community that I'm a part of. Also, I feel like there's a certain level of trust that I have that maybe another provider might not have. Because I'm a peer, I'm in the community, I'm visible, but I'm also able to provide this sort of intervention, quality intervention. I think in the last few years I've seen a full increase in the number of people even interested in mental health and behavioral health. I think with HIV prevention, treatment, education, that Ryan White Act and other monies have put a lot of resources into the community, and the community has responded. I mean, we see that in the numbers and a decrease in infection rates. We see that in an increase in access to mental health services. I think that we have to keep pushing forward in working with folks that don't have the same opportunities in urban areas, especially in the rural South. I feel like we need to move forward and just embrace our brothers and sisters that live outside the city. I think that there's been a wave in interest and outcomes. The healthcare field can improve services to trans men by recognizing the unique and separate issues and environments that trans men come from and are living in. Again, meeting people where they're at, so meeting trans men where they're at is important, and cutting some of the red tape to services, and taking gender requirements and insurance requirements and so on and so forth out of the picture, and really letting people get the services and resources that they need.